Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of In Between the Stitches. As always, I am your host, Brady Wilson, with my co-host, Chase Olschwanger.
What's going on?
And Chase has brought a guest for us today, Mr. One and Only Jordan Swidler.
What's up? How you doing?
Well, we're pretty good, and I think after some breaking news here, Jordan is feeling a lot better. We'll get to this first. It's going to be a little bit mixed up show today, but it's okay. Jerry Reinsdorf. If you don't know, Jordan's been on with us like once, and he has detailed that he's a White Sox fan, unfortunately. But in some good news for the White Sox fans, breaking news, Jerry Reinsdorf, the much maligned owner of the Chicago White Sox, is open to selling the White Sox, or his stake in the White Sox, to a group led by former Oakland A World Series champion Dave Stewart. Jordan, your thoughts?
I'm gleeful. I believe he's the worst owner in sports. I mean, maybe that's exaggerated. I root for the team, but Reinsdorf has needed to sell the team for years now. No doubt about that. I think the biggest thing that makes me feel hope here is that he's actually engaging in talks. I feel like a lot of times before people have said, well, Reinsdorf should sell. He should sell. But he wasn't actually entertaining it. He just kind of knew he maybe should and just kind of was like, I'm making money off it. Why would? I do believe when you have the worst team of all time, there's a little bit more of a emphasis on maybe rethinking it.
Do you think maybe Manfred called him and was like, dude, we gotta figure something out, because we can't have an era where we're trying to grow baseball. Baseball is trying to grow itself. It grew itself in the 90s and kind of stagnated a little bit there after, I would say, the steroid scandal, and then is now trying to grow itself. I know Manfred, he's trying to set it up for the next commissioner to grow the game. And it's hard to grow the game when you have definitely what I would consider a legacy team, right? A team that's been there for well over a century, and they're now setting the modern record for losses in a season.
I do think Manfred may have called. I think
or other owners have maybe brought this up, like, dude, we got to figure this out.
I would have no doubt. I mean, honestly, I think the biggest thing is he probably has just an immense amount of pressure on him, right? Like, there's not one person that's talking to him about this that's going, great job with the team, right? Like, no one's walking up to Jerry and going, hey, Jerry, great job this year. Like, not one person.
No.
Inside the clubhouse, inside, the front office, but it doesn't even matter. So I'm just grateful he's thinking about it. My hopes are only so high, if I'm being honest with you. He very well could just decide he's keeping it. There's nothing we can do about that. But great news. It's much needed.
As Cowboys fans, there's another Jerry out there who we
We'll
who we
give
hope.
me 1 second.
Well, no, I'm just saying who we hope that would have those same kind of discussions as well.
Reinsdorf bought the team back in 1981 for $20 million. So the one bad part is that he's going to get filthy rich.
Oh yeah.
And I actually have to agree with, if you remember, I think it was the start of last season when that caller famously had that 7-minute rant.
One of my favorite rants of all
thing he
time.
said, and it's so true, Reinsdorf would never be looked at as a decent owner in any sport if he didn't get Michael Jordan in the '84 draft.
And what's crazy about that, if we want to go a little deeper on that, it wasn't even really his doing. It just a lot of luck. A lot of luck is the only reason.
And
Jordan fell to the third pick.
Portland already had Clyde Drexler, so they didn't need a guard, and I can't remember who went.
It was they took Elijah. Obviously, the Rockets took Elijah at 1, and then Sam Bowie went second.
And Bowie was a fine player if it hadn't been for injuries.
Right. And,
so it wasn't
you look at the Elijah pick, and you're like, well, it wasn't Jordan, but it didn't necessarily not work.
I mean, they won
out.
2 titles.
I honestly think if you're a Rockets fan and someone says, would you rather have Jordan? And they go, no, I don't blame them.
No,
you got 2
not.
championships.
Well, listen, they won 2 championships because of Jordan.
Because he wasn't
playing.
He wasn't there.
If Jordan was playing, the Rockets would never have won.
But the good news is the White Sox may be getting new ownership, which is good because they are a systemic failure right now. They have philosophy problems. They don't know how to develop players. There are people in the organization saying, a lot of this is from foul territory, by the way, to credit the source. Brzezinski, because he still has people in the building he knows, and he's like, look, they are still saying we need this kind of player because it's what we did in 2005. So when you are referencing a team that won 20 years ago, this upcoming season, and you're saying we need to build a team like that. When that team, I don't want to, get. No, I don't want to be rude to a championship
know what the team was.
It was a ragtag bunch of guys that kind of all had career years and got hot. I mean, hell, Scott Pasednik did hit a home run the entire season, hits a walk-off, in the World Series, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they got hot.
And Al also had, they had the perfect storm. Where they lost 1 game all playoffs. They had great competition against them. Didn't matter. They were hot, and we talked about. I mean, Rangers last year, right? A lot of teams, you got hot, you win. That's just the reality of it. You can be a great team, and they were a great team last year, but the Rangers weren't the number 1 seed, right? That's just the reality of it. You get hot, you win. Like that's how it is. So
Yeah.
I do agree with you. I think
Could be watching something like just with this Mets team this
The
year.
Mets, yeah.
It could be something similar.
No, I do agree. I mean, full circle. I'm happy. I'm happy. I want to see this happen. I'll tell you that I've talked to both Brady and Chase a good amount of times now. I just want to see change. I don't believe that they're going to change until he's gone. That's the reality.
Yeah.
That's it.
The one thing I do worry about is you've already changed a lot of people out.
Yep.
And so you bring in an ownership group, they're going to want to change again. So it's kind of like hitting a reset clock on the whole, the 5-year plan for everything.
It can take 20 years.
But
I don't care, honestly.
I think the fact that and I don't want to call for a guy's head, but Chris Getz probably has got to get out. I'm a fan of Sizemore. I'd like to see what he does.
I really like Sizemore.
It's certainly a team that has organizational problems that need to be fixed.
But I'd take 10 years of failure after this if it meant that we had an opportunity, right? Like
Right.
that's the reality. Right now we could take 20 years in the future, and if Jerry's still there, I don't think we're any better. That's the reality.
Well, and the good news is someone like if Dave Stewart, let's say that Dave Stewart inserts himself as the GM, even if he's like part of the owner, he played.
Yep.
And he has shown himself to be a very knowledgeable baseball person. Because he's also been a coach. He started some youth stuff. So clearly he would at least have more business being a GM as an owner than somebody else in the world of sports. I have gotten texts about this. There's a reason that we're doing the Cowboys segment 6 minutes in. We're still going to do football at the end. We're still going to do baseball before that. We're still going to do basketball, then hockey, all that. But we're got to get to the biggest news, I think, in the football world that eclipsed the Devontae Adams trade and the Amari Cooper trade. Which the Cooper trade actually helps this, I think, supplements this whole storm. So we're going to go in order. If I could play copyrighted music, I would play the Meet the Grams beat right now, because this is about to be some truth being told. Jerry went on 105.3 The Fan yesterday on the Sean and RJ show. I don't think they've included Bobby Belt's name in there yet, so it's just Sean and RJ, but with Bobby Belt. And he had, one of his regular Tuesday interviews that he always does. Steven does one, Mike McCarthy does one, Bruce Bochy does one, Chris Young does one, everyone does one.
Something they agree to do.
Something that they agree to do every week. And there have been weeks where they don't do it because they're having a meeting or something. That's fine. But Sean was asking him some questions, and I think was kind of, pressing him a little bit. I mean, you're 3-3. You just had, if it wasn't for the Packer game being a playoff game, the most embarrassing loss of at least the Mike McCarthy tenure, if not the last 10, 15, 20 years. It was a very embarrassing game to watch. There was coaching failure. There was player failure. There was just a total organizational failure. And Jerry, he's going to be agitated. He's not going to be, oh, yeah, this is great, all sunshine and rainbows. But he I don't like getting political, but the best comparison is he sounded like a mixture of Joe Biden and Donald Trump. I mean, it's the best comparison I can make.
Fair.
He definitely was very defensive. And he was calling for their jobs. And I think what he's referencing is the fact that that's the flagship station for the pay them. He pays Brad Sham because Brad Sham worked for the Cowboys, but if they took the broadcast rights to the ticket, Brad Sham's going to the ticket, right? That's kind of how that works. It's if you get hired to do radio for a team, you work for the team and you just happen to go through the station that they go through. Yep. So he pays guys like Babe Laufenberg and Brad Sham, but he does not pay the 105.3 radio hosts. The only power he has is to threaten the station by saying, if you don't fire this guy, I'm pulling the broadcast rights whenever the contract is up. That's the only thing that he has that's powerful. But if the station has any integrity, they're going to stick by who they employ. And it's great to see the broadcast world, too, kind of come together and say, no, screw this. Jerry's the I can't say what I want to say. Jerry's the piece of crap that's, treating the radio host badly. And he wasn't mean to Jerry. He was just pressing, like, you guys are building this team incorrectly. And I'll get to my rant in a second. Jordan, I know, wanted to go first. Then we're going to have Chase give his piece, and I'll close it out.
See how much I can cover after everybody.
And then we'll move to the stars.
So,
Jordan, go.
Let's talk about, first off, this theme of Jerry is not running. No, about an organization is pretty funny. I had one specific issue with this. I do believe that as an owner, you have a level of obligation to not throw people under the bus in general. I think that this is a thing we've seen in other leagues, in this league, where owners don't take accountability and they just throw other people under the bus because, frankly, they're immature, right? Like, there's not like a real reason. It's just they don't want to deal with the actual fact that maybe their team sucks, like, or they're not doing things right. In this situation, I was a little bit dumbfounded by the kind of like almost like ignorance that Jerry had, what his role is and how important he is to the Cowboys. I really felt like that he brought up nothing of substance when it came to his responses. He was just trying to point fingers because he didn't want to take any accountability. And that is fundamentally a problem for an organizational standpoint, top to bottom, right? Like, what does Mike McCarthy do when he walks in the building tomorrow, right? Like the day after, I guess. What does he do the next day? Well, he probably goes to the team and talks to them and says, look, like, I know you all heard what Jerry said, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He has to then advocate for the players and advocate for himself to the owner that hired him. Because, frankly, Jerry doesn't seem to have much, respect for the players or the owner or the manager or front office or anything if he's talking like this, right? So that's my fundamental issue with it. I think owning a team is a responsibility. It's the same reason that I believe Reinsdorf needs to go. Jerry Jones is just fundamentally struggling with the ability to critique himself, hold himself accountable, not point fingers. It's so much easier to just blame other people than to actually look intrinsically and say, what am I doing wrong? Maybe I am actually in the wrong. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing. And even if it's not selling the team, it's pulling back a little bit, giving other people things to do, right? Not being the face to the point where you are the one that makes every single decision. That's the fundamental issue. If he just pulls back a little bit, I don't think people are calling for his head the same way. I think it's because he's so involved. He thinks he knows best. And we all, as a collective, all understand, everyone understands that he doesn't. And that's the crazy part.
And I think Steven needs to be lumped in. If I say I want to, I think all three of us, if we say Jerry, we're also mean because Steven's been a lot more of the part of the personal decisions. So
it's gotten worse for sure.
Yeah, it has. Jordan, we appreciate it. Chase, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not gonna. That was 100% all correct, and whatever everyone, everything that everyone says today is going to be correct. But I'm not gonna try to repeat what Jordan said. But just going from a team perspective now. And the things that Jerry has said in the offseason, one that all comes to mind is that we're going all in, right? And the fact that he did literally nothing about it. Literally nothing about it. The team got so much backlash for how the way the season ended last season. And, everybody thought that, when Jerry said that, okay, we're going to go out and get Derrick Henry. We're going to go out and get all these pieces that were extremely, let's just say like easy to get. I mean, Derrick Henry was talked about getting him for maybe $6 million a year.
What was it, 2 years, 16?
Yeah.
That was total?
Maybe 2 for 12 or something like that. And
I'm not even a Cowboys fan and I'm pissed off.
Yeah. And like the guy lives in Dallas. He comes to Dallas every offseason to work out. And he didn't even give him a call.
Right.
And then he comes at 105.3 and he gets mad at them and threatens their jobs when, frankly, they're doing their job.
Oh, yeah.
This is what everybody who doesn't have the opportunity to speak to, they're doing what the public wants. And they're asking him these questions. Dude, the team sucks. And you have done nothing about it. You have the number one paid quarterback in NFL history, who is a top 10 quarterback in the league. You have a top 3 receiver in all football who's getting paid $35 million a year. You're going to...
Which is second.
Right. Which is second behind Justin Jefferson, who is better than CeeDee Lamb, but CeeDee is still right there in that conversation. You're going to be paying Micah Parsons God knows how much money. This is going to be 3 people on your team that is taking up 60% of your bankroll or whatever, maybe even more. I don't know the exact percentage. And he's doing nothing to put pieces around the team. And he expects that just to go out there with these 3 players and win. Like, he's putting all of this pressure on Dak. And I feel bad for Dak. I really do. I'm not saying that Dak's been perfect this season.
No.
But what does he have to work with? There's no run game.
No, that's the main issue.
The offensive line is young, banged up, or outside of Zach Martin, but it's banged up. It's not good, to say the least.
They have not played well. They're taking time.
They are putting they are expecting Dak to be Superman. And I feel for him because there's not much he can do. There's one target to throw to. There's no run game, so teams don't have to focus it. And it just, I'm going off a little tangent, but it's really frustrating to have all the hope that we had coming into the year with the things that Jerry said, and then he does nothing about it. And then, going back to, conversation, gets mad at people for just asking him these simple questions, which is like, why didn't you go out and do these things? Why is the team, why did the team get worse? Pretty much.
I also, one thing I want to say is, it doesn't help that the Rangers just won a World Series by actually paying guys. So just want to say that.
All right, so cue the Meet the Grams beat, because I've got some things to say.
Go for it.
Look at the other three. I'm going to try to break this up in different pieces. I'm going to go off of that to start. When you have three other teams that are all in great positions to win, Dallas Mavericks coming off a finals appearance. They've got one of the best GMs in basketball.
Yeah.
They have got, he's debated, but I think a pretty good head coach. Who's been able to put a good staff together, getting guys like Frank Vogel, right? Who finally has been able to add pieces around their superstars. It's been the biggest issue that the Mavs have had since they won in 11. Not adding enough pieces in the late Dirk era, into the Luka era, not being able to add that other star.
Listen, a coach is only as good as its roster. That's what it is.
Exactly. They finally add Kyrie. They find Gafford and PJ at the deadline. They go out and get Clay as the final piece of this puzzle. This team is ready to win. They're probably going to be ready to win for the next at least 3 years, 2, 3, maybe 5, 6, we'll see. Then you get the Stars, who have a 2-time winner of the GM of the Year award. I probably butchered that, but Jim Nill, who's top 5 GM in all of hockey.
Of course.
You've got a team that is now relying on some of the old core of Sagan and Ben and finding guys like Marchment and Duchesne, but then they got the young guys. They got Robertson. I think Hintz would still be considered one of the young guys. Ottinger as your goalie. You seem to have figured out your second goalie situation with DeSmith. But then you've got Stankoven, you've got Johnston, and you've got Bork, and then you've got Bixel coming up. This team is ready to win for the next 3 to 5 years. Because as you start getting rid of some of those older guys, as Ben and Sagan start falling off and retiring, these young guys will take 4, and then you can sign out new veteran players.
Which they have been great so far this start of the season, Ben and Sagan.
They're 4-0. They already have more wins than the Cowboys do. And they've got one of the best head coaches in all the NHL in DeBoer. Then you've got the Rangers that were able to put the pieces together to win a championship, the first one since 2011. Which would be the Mavs, obviously. For a second, I was like, wait a second. No, the Rangers didn't win. Oh, yeah, the Mavs. They've got top 5 GM in all of baseball. They've got an owner that's willing to spend and stays out of the day-to-day. He works on the business side of things. He's done one thing on the on-field product. He asked for his company, the Energy Transfer, to be the patch for our advertisement.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. It's your team. You can put your company on there. I don't mind.
No wonder we were terrible this year.
You have a great veteran core in Seager and Simeon and Garcia. You've got young guys like Carter and Langford and Leiter and Rocker and these guys coming up. You've got Bochy. I think you've got your manager in the wings in Will Venable.
Wait, you only got Boch for 1 more year.
You have got a prime position to win for the next 3 to 5 years. Then you have the Cowboys, who have pieces. They are not devoid of talent. You've got a great quarterback. You've got a great receiver. You've got names on the offensive line that should be playing well. They just need time to gel, I think. I think the rookie center is causing some problems. Not that BB's been bad, but he's a rookie center. He's the leader of the line.
Right.
You have, I think, one of the best up-and-coming tight ends in Ferguson.
Yeah, easily.
You've got arguably the best defensive player in football with Parsons. Diggs is one of the best island corners. He can't tackle worth a crap, but he can cover, except this last game, which is his worst game as a Cowboy, unfortunately. Very bad timing.
I think everybody had their worst games as Cowboys.
I was going to say, it's hard to not find a guy, though.
Bland has shown a lot of talent. Overshown has shown a lot of talent. And I think Wilson has shown talent. The problem with your team, the team, is no running game to help your quarterback. You got the defensive side of the ball, I'm not as worried about because you've been injured. You've been hurt. You've been banged up. I'm not as worried because you're injured, because then you have guys like Lawrence and those guys coming back. Mozzie has flashed this year, but needs to be more consistent in his ability to play Because there are times where he's great. He makes a great play, or he allows the linebacker to make a play. And there are times where he doesn't. What else is good about this team? Jerry has hired a great front personnel when it comes to the draft. Will McClay, those guys do a phenomenal job. There's a reason that we are still thought of as potential contenders, because all of our guys are signed or UDFAs. Very few. I think we went over this. There's like 3 guys that are outside the organization,
Right?
And it's Cooks, it's Malik Hooker, and then it's technically then Eric Kendricks, and then if you want to go 4, Ezekiel Elliott, who was drafted by us.
Sure, yeah.
So everyone else that's a starter on this team was either drafted or UDFA.
Mm-hmm.
So I clearly those guys are doing their jobs very well. They've had a couple misses. They missed on Taco. They didn't draft you. That's like the one big one. They missed on TJ Watt.
Right.
And from all the reports that have come out, that was because our defensive coordinator, Rod Marinelli, didn't think Watt could be a hand in the dirt, true 3-down pass rusher.
Sorry.
That was his thought. He
That's
thought Taco had more potential.
Imagine TJ Watt and Mike on the same team.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, who knows? It might be a Cowboy.
let's talk about what's wrong with this team. Jerry, his comments to me were interesting because he said, well, you guys don't know what's wrong with this team. How can you sit there and know what's wrong? My response would have been, well, Jerry, do you not understand that we have free websites that show us the cap where we can see all the numbers and see, who, if you cut a guy, how much is it going to be? If you do this and that, if you'd extended Dak and Lamb, that it would have freed up the money to sign a guy like Derrick Henry on your football team. Do you not understand that we have access to that? Do you not understand that we also have, for $100 a year, which is an amazing price for the fact you get Red Zone and all of the All-22 film, we have the All-22 film. I can go right now and watch every snap that your coaches are watching right now in the coaching room. Or not watching, apparently. I can see all of the problems. Right, I'm not a coach, never have been. But as someone who feels like I know a decent amount about football, I can watch film and go, well, that's kind of a problem because the guy messed up here. Or that scheme looks bad because it's just there's creating no space for the running back. You are an organization that seems to not understand that this is 2024 and we have the internet and have access to these things. So we can see the problems with your team.
Weird.
It's crazy, I know. Another thing that bugs me to no end is, okay, the coaching. Name one competent coach we've had since Jimmy Johnson. Now, if you want to go
Wade Phillips.
as a good coach, we've had 2, Parcells and Phillips.
Yeah.
Name me another one. There isn't one. Because that's it. That's the list.
Do you want me to start clapping?
What? Yeah, the Jason Garrett, who was decent, wasn't terrible.
But you don't need decent.
He was like a step above Jeff Fisher.
Sure.
Which is not saying much.
He instead of 8-8, he went 9-7.
Exactly.
Yeah, you look at the Garrett McCarthy seasons. McCarthy hasn't had a season where he's been a Cowboy coach where he didn't win 12 games.
Except 2020 when Dak was hurt.
I mean,
The issue is that, cool, you can win 12 games. You can't win postseason games. You won 1, and you beat last game of his career, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So you have not done much as a head coach in terms of actual success. Congrats. You can win 12 games in the regular season. If you can't win in the postseason, no, it doesn't matter. And when you lose in the manner of which you've lost in the postseason, all 3 years, I don't want to use my head coach because we were a team that would beat up. We were the bullies. You've won 12 games, and I know that was your argument, but my counter was always, well, you beat up on the bad teams, and then when you face a real team, who are the 5 losses to? Oh, well, they're to the 5 contenders in the league, right? We can't beat anybody on our level or above.
Is Mike McCarthy the Doc Rivers of football?
There you go. He's like a Doc Rivers. He won a championship. Yeah, he's a Doc Rivers of football.
He's riding off the championship. Exactly.
The problem is that Jordan Chase, there's no salary cap for coaches. You could pay them $100 million a year if you want to. So shouldn't the team that's the number 1 most valuable franchise in all over the world, like beating all of the soccer teams, beating all of the other football, basketball, they're better than the Lakers, they're better than the Yankees, they're better than Manchester United.
Mm-hmm.
They beat them all. And they can't hire competent coaches.
Crazy.
It ain't a money issue. It's not that because I'm sorry, money talks. If you're telling me Ben Johnson wouldn't leave if you said we're going to pay you $50 million a year, yes, he's leaving. Everybody has a price, and Jerry can pay it. But why? So then why do we not have good coaches? Well, it means that Jerry doesn't want to hire good coaches. That's why I don't think we're going to get Belichick.
I want Ben Johnson so bad.
He doesn't want a guy like Belichick to come in there and go, oh, well, here's where you're screwing up. Clearly, if he
Bingo.
can't handle a radio host saying, here's where you're screwing up, how's he going to handle Belichick coming in there? The only thing that Belichick has over him is he's got a pedigree in the game. But as a radio host, I can watch I can watch everything and go, here are your problems. I can see them with my 2 eyes on my screen. Don't tell me I don't know the problems. I can see the problems. There's a lot of them. You don't hire competent coaching. You don't make smart personnel decisions. You rely on undrafted free agents. I like Rico, but you rely on a guy like Rico Dowdle to carry your football team. And Rico had his best week as a Cowboy against the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Who gets the majority of the carries the next week?
Zeke.
Why does Zeke get the majority of carries? Oh, it's the same week that Zeke walked into the office and went, I'm kind of mad about my usage. I would like to be used more. I don't understand my role in this team. So that right there tells me that Jerry's calling the shots with McCarthy. That right there, that McCarthy does not have any power. That Jerry, he's probably on game plan meetings.
You know, Zeke also specifically asked if he could be in the goal line. That was what he wanted, and then they gave him way more carries than he needed to have.
I like Zeke. Zeke is great.
Zeke is fantastic at getting 2 yards.
Correct. 4th and 1. I need to run. Zeke's my guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Zeke is my guy. But what that tells me is that Jerry told McCarthy, give him more carries. Yep. What's McCarthy going to do? Say no? You funny. Who do they? I like the Zimmer hire now, partly because I think I was trying to smoke the hopium, but he's been terrible. You keep McCarthy after he has the most embarrassing game as a Cowboys fan. You keep him. Why? Why are we keeping him? Explain to me why. He cannot get it done in the postseason. And then I go, okay, well, maybe they have a plan for this offseason. We're going to have cap space. Maybe they have a plan. They nailed the draft. They traded back. They traded in the 2 starting offensive linemen. Got a guy like Nealon who's looked good, except, oh, wait, he's injured. You find some talent. You find Kalen Carson. It was one of my favorite picks that we had. Ryan Flournoy unfortunately fumbled. I felt so bad for him because they just ripped it from his arms. It wasn't really his fault. It's so frustrating for him, and then for him to attack somebody like that, and then to double down. Did you see what he did to the female reporter that asked him afterwards? Late yesterday, he made more comments, basically clarifying his instead of saying, "Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, it was heat of the moment. Oh, it's my bad." He doubled down and said, "I don't like being questioned by the guys I'm paying." He doesn't pay 105.3. They're the flagship station. He doubled down instead of going, well, you know, if he'd said, "Oh, I was pissed," that's fair. I'd be pretty pissed too if that was my team. But here's the issue, Chase. Who is the one making the decisions? It's him. At least for someone like, I would say, Robert Kraft, when he would get pissed. He wasn't making decisions until now. When Belichick was there, he let Belichick do his thing. And if he didn't like something, he'd say he'd be disappointed, but he'd let Belichick handle it. But you don't blame Kraft if he's mad, because it's his team. He's a fan. Jerry is a fan who's getting to call the shots. And then he says things like, I think it was earlier this year, he's like, well, I'd like to see somebody else come in here and do this job. Chase, Jordan, you're telling me that in 30 years as the GM, I couldn't not win a Super Bowl? In fact, I could not go to a conference championship? I bet I could. I bet I could do it really well. I bet I could do it every season, just like he has. Like, it is his refusal to acknowledge reality to the media. If this is what he's saying in public, imagine what he's saying behind closed doors.
That was my thought when I heard it.
Imagine what he's saying to McCarthy. Imagine what he's saying to Will McClay in the draft room when the cameras aren't there. Because like when they have like a war room cam, he's nice and cordial and seems to delegate. But does he really do that? Does he? The guy that tried to strong arm everybody into taking Paxton Lynch, the guy that had to be talked out of Johnny Manziel. Are we really? And that was 10 years ago. He's aged. It's worse. And we as Cowboy fans, we think, Chase, there's a saving grace. And I hate to say this, because he won't do it unless he dies. Maybe when he dies, we'll be free. Nope. Guess what? Stephen Jones is going to get the team. And at least Jerry had that time around Jimmy to try to learn football. This is why I want to go into this field. This interview that he had is why. Because there are a lot of broadcasters that would sit there and go, "Oh my gosh, it's Jerry Jones. I can't." No, I would have done. My question I would have gone off. that his ego can't handle the fact that Jimmy Johnson won in 3 Super Bowls, and he has had to prove himself, and he has proven himself to be inadequate at doing so. He can't hire head coaches. He can't find free agents. He can't make trades. He traded for Roy Williams. That backfired. Traded for Joey Galloway. That backfired. Drafted I know he didn't do this, but drafted Taco Charlton. That backfired wildly.
Sounds like next week we're going to get him as a guest star.
He's terrible at his job. He can't. He's a great owner because he's the most valuable sports franchise. He's terrific at that. Branding,
good at marketing, of course.
Though he is the best owner in the history of sports at doing that. I would say better than Steinbrenner. But he is terrible in football operations. He can't find free agents. Or he refuses to find. And then when he does find free agents, like Dontari Poe and Clinton Dix, they cut Dix in preseason, and they have got Dontari Poe look like me out there trying to stuff the run. And they go, well, this guy was a first-round pick, so he's a significant free agent. No, he's not. Everson Griffin was a significant free agent for us. No, he wasn't. He was terrible. He was legitimately awful. He can't find a head coach. He can't find coordinators. We can't find a head coach that can find coordinators. He can't find trades that work. He trades Amari Cooper. And you know what? If that was all he could have gotten, okay. 2 years later, Amari Cooper gets traded. What does he get traded for, guys?
3rd round pick.
A 3rd round pick. We got a 5th. And like a 6th. It's like swap.
Both times Amari got traded, both teams got more than.
Yep. We traded a 1st round for him.
Yep.
And then turn around and trade for a 5th and a 6th pick swap.
I was about to say 5th and 6th, and 3rd.
And then the Bills get him for a 3rd. Yep. And they also get a 7th in return, too.
You literally cannot make it up.
Nope. So tell me where the intelligent... There's one area they can draft extremely well. They're one of the best drafting teams of the last 10 years. There's it's not even just drafting. There's a reason that we are still somewhat successful year to year because of this. But this year, you can't rely on the draft. They're finally seeing it. Finally, it's taken this long. They're finally seeing you cannot just rely on the draft. You have to go out and get a guy there. Well, we couldn't afford him. Yes, you can. Don't tell us you can't. I can go up and look up on SpotTrack, I think is how you pronounce it, your cap situation and see you could afford it. We have like $20 million in cap space doing nothing. Nothing.
The Derrick Henry thing was absurd, by the way.
It's absurd.
I just want to clarify.
Why?
There's no reason why Derrick Henry should not have been a Cowboy.
If they had called him and said, hey, we would like you at 2 years, $10 million. He said, I want 216. And they said, we just don't want to invest that in running backs.
It's different, honestly.
Okay, I don't agree with it,
Sure.
But at least you did your due diligence.
Correct.
They didn't even call him.
Crazy.
No call. No, just what that tells me is that they immediately thought he would be too expensive for them. Well, why would you think that? Your job as a GM is to feel out what everybody's thinking, right? Trade for a guy. Well, hey, what are you thinking is the value you want for that player? Oh, we'd like this, a 2nd round pick. Well, I don't want to give that up. I don't want to do that. Bye. You asked. They don't even ask. And what that tells us Cowboys fans is that whenever there's a good player available for trade, that was a free agent, they're not even going to call. They're not even going to, there was a joke that, the Lions picked up Tim Patrick, who torched us. And the joke was Jerry probably didn't even know he was available when the Broncos cut him. He probably didn't know who he was. He doesn't seem to know other people on the roster. He just... Oh, it's so frustrating.
Well, the Henry thing is crazy, too. I want to add what's crazy about it is, I feel like Henry would have made the franchise more than $16 million. Maybe I'm crazy, but, between jersey sales, between...
It's not even about that.
Branding, between the fact that he would have made the on-field product so much better.
And
if we're just talking about that,
let's mention the fact that we'd, be winning games because of him.
He'd make Jerry money. He would make Jerry the money he spent on him back easily.
And then what do? You sign Zeke. Okay. But then you pass on multiple running backs that are all playing really well right now. Oh, and you would have had that 4th, but you didn't have a 4th round pick. Well, my oh my, why do you have a 4th round pick? And I know you were a fan of this trade, but I'm sorry, it looks terrible now. Oh, that's right, our 4th round pick is currently our emergency quarterback in Trey Lance, who's looked terrible in every preseason.
I wasn't necessarily a fan of it. It was just more, we actually got someone to potentially back up Dak for whatever
and
the case.
Now it looks like one of the worst trades ever, even for a 4th round pick. You could have drafted, but you know what? Even if we had that pick, we probably would have taken some randomo who was on my board at the 6th round. We wouldn't take a running back.
I just can't. I just can't wait for Genty to be on the board next year,
They
and
won't take him.
we just don't take him.
They won't take him.
I can't wait
like,
for it.
Like they won't take. They don't understand what they're doing. They don't know how to build a roster in 2024. They don't. You have to use free agency to some degree.
It's actually crazy how similar the White Sox are. I'm hearing everything you're saying, and when I hear
to some, and then the 1 year where they actually make some trades. Remember last year they got Gilmore and they got Cooks at discount. They made a smart move by not trading a third for Cooks and getting him for like a fifth. They made 2 great moves, and then remind me what happened afterwards when you lost. You went, well, we did it last year and it didn't work, so we don't want to do it again. That's called the risk you take.
Team was a lot better last year than this year.
Mm-hmm.
The Rangers took a risk. They signed Seager, they signed Simeon, they signed DeGrom.
Paid 3 guys $800 million.
That's the risk that you take. That's the risk that you take. Sorry, that's the microphone thing is squeaking again. That is the risk that you take when you sign free agents, when you make trades, that you're not going to win a championship. Some teams do, some teams don't. Only one can every year. And you refuse to make... And then he said, I'm all in. I saw through that. I'm on record, I think you are too, of saying he does not mean all in. It is a buzzword to get fans interested in the preseason or then the offseason. He does not mean it. He's going to come out in a couple weeks and say I was misquoted. And what happened? He came out and said, oh, y'all misinterpreted what I said. And you know what sucks? You know what sucks, Jordan? Doesn't matter. Because he's getting what he wants. Because we're talking about him. Everyone's talking about him.
Fans just need to stop going to games. That's how it starts.
In the bye week of a team that's not going anywhere this year, who was on everyone's lips?
Cowboys.
Jerry Jones. He gets what he wants.
You know what's funny? I'm not going to Cowboys games. They're too expensive.
I don't. It's too expensive. And, I feel bad for the fans that do. I really do.
Yeah, I was literally telling my dad I was literally telling my dad last week. I was home watching the game with him. It was like, there's people that paid money to go to this game.
Yeah.
People spent money.
Yeah.
That they work for so hard.
Yeah.
To go and watch the Cowboys lose 47-9.
I'm sorry for those fans.
Yeah, I feel terrible.
Because they care. And they have an owner that doesn't care. That says he does, but doesn't understand. If he cared, he would step down.
Hey, at least when I go to White Sox games, I pay $5. I'm so serious. $5.
He would if he cared at all. I'm not saying he would sell. I'm saying he would step down as the GM.
Yep.
And he would make his son step down as whatever he does. And they'd make Will McClay
whatever he does.
And they'd make Catboy. They'd make Will McClay the GM if they cared. But they don't. They just want to be good enough. And I think that's the thing, is now they're not good enough. Yeah. Usually the Cowboys are great at being, hey, we're good enough to be in the primetime games and be talked about, and then we peter out, and who cares, we're talked about. But now I think what he's seeing is that we're being talked about, but everything is negative. And I don't see, I don't know where Jerry's headspace is at. It could be he's mad that everyone's being negative. It could be, but clearly if he's that lashful, if that's the word, at a radio host, he's definitely feeling it. And I love the fact that Cowboys fans everywhere are uniting. We're united. It's like you guys. Like
I really do hope that we win no more than 5 games this year.
The Mets united against the Wilpons. We're hoping that White Sox fans have united against Jerry Reinsdorf. And now we are banding together.
Yeah.
Someone made a joke that we needed a January 6th Frisco. I'm sorry. I know it's terrible, but I just thought it was pretty funny.
Listen, I'll say this. I can say on my behalf, but I think a lot of other fans feel this way too. Most football fans don't want to see this, right? Like, that's just the reality of it. It's the same thing with the White Sox in baseball and as in other sports. Like, everybody wants to see competent, competitive franchises. You don't want to see crap, poor product franchises. Right. And,
What did I tell you a couple weeks ago? Leagues are better. Fans can deny this all they want if they don't ever admit this.
When the Cowboys are better. Yeah.
Fans are more interested when the villain teams are good.
Of course. What do you think?
There are a lot of fans.
The Patriots, when they were winning, everybody watched.
There are fans that don't want to admit this because I'm not saying you're rooting for them, but every fan to some degree should understand this. Sports are better. The NBA is better than the Lakers and Celtics are good. The NFL is better when the Cowboys and then whoever the dynasty is at that point. Like right now, is the Chiefs are really good. Baseball is better when the Yankees are good. Yep. Baseball is great right now because the 2 New York teams are in the playoffs. And they have the Dodgers.
And the Dodgers.
And then you have the underdog with the Guardians. Of course. It's a great scenario. I hate it because, to some degree, because it means the smaller market teams, White Sox, Rangers, that were not as least watched World Series, I think of in a long time, maybe ever. I think it was. It was really low, but it's so bad that even Cowboys like Stephen A. Smith is like, I feel bad for making fun of him because like it's easy to make fun of us when we're kind of good, kind of bad, whatever. But it's like right now it's kind of like kicking a dog when it's down. And I think a lot of fans are starting to realize that Cowboys fans are not the main problem.
Yep.
It is that a lot of Cowboys fans drink the Kool-Aid from the owner.
Yeah, of course.
And then they become the problem and the noisy-eating Cowboys fans that a lot of people hate. Now I think they're realizing, oh my gosh, the Cowboys fans are not the problem. It's their owner's so bad that now. So it's kind of nice to get some sympathy. And then I'll end it with this: that the guy that did the 49ers song has done a Cowboy song. If you haven't heard it, go look it up.
Great.
It's great. I love it. It's my new theme song for the Cowboys.
Yes.
I'm sorry that rant was like a 20-minute. We spent like 40 minutes on rants here.
Much needed.
But I feel better knowing that I have 3 other teams that are making me happy to be a sports fan. There's one team that I'm going to watch that I can watch every Sunday. I'm still going to enjoy watching. I always do. I love football.
Yeah.
I'm now in a win-win scenario. If we win the game, okay, cool. We won. Cowboys get some praise, right? We lose? Yes.
We're a mediocre team right now.
Yes.
So now we're going to move. We're going to kind of condense everything because of the whole Jerry thing really kind of soaked up a lot of stuff. But when it comes to the Stars, we kind of touched on it. They're 4-0.
Some positive notes now.
They're playing some great hockey. It is a lot of fun to watch. The Mavs start very soon, next week.
One preseason game left on Friday, and then it's season. The NBA starts on the 22nd, but Mavs don't play till the 24th.
And I'm a
Lakers
fan. I'm a Lakers fan, so during the season, if I come visit, we'll have some great conversation.
Yeah.
We've got the Rangers have 2 Gold Glove finalists. Lowe and Simeon were both. So I know people that Nathaniel Lowe, he's a Gold Glove first baseman.
Oh, I mean,
get off. Just go take a hike.
Can I just mention that Lindor wasn't nominated for Gold Glove?
And Soto was as well.
I really thought that Josh Smith should have got the utility nomination for the American League. I was kind of surprised he didn't because he was a great shortstop, great third baseman, great outfielder. But it's okay. It's whatever. And I was kind of surprised Heim because I'd have to look up Heim's numbers. But baseball's having a great time right now. Playoffs have been phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
The division series, all of them were really fun and compelling and gave you a reason to watch. The championship series have started out that way.
Best playoffs I've seen in a while.
Yankees, I would say you weren't here when we said this, but the best playoffs of all time is pretty much agreed upon to be the '86 playoffs when it was the Angels and the Red Sox. They went I think 6 or 7, and then you had the Mets and the Astros going that 16 innings Game 6 that was just like would never end. It was great. Then the World Series, Bill Buckner, all that. But this playoffs has been very great.
Yeah,
has been a lot of fun. You've got the Yankees and Guardians in the LCS. Yankees up 2-0, going back to Cleveland. Cleveland just their one glaring weakness is showing.
It's one thing that I said, and I don't know if you're going to say the same thing. Oh, I actually told Jordan this. Starting pitching. They don't have the resources to keep up with this Yankees offense.
I agree. I think the issue mainly is they don't have an offense.
That's fair.
They have.
But that wasn't the problem. That wasn't the problem during the season.
If the offense goes cold, they're screwed.
Yes, exactly.
Which is a problem that other teams don't really have, where they have pitching they can piece together. At least the Mets have some starters they can throw in there. The Dodgers are piecing together pitching, but they have enough hitting to whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
The Yankees are a really good combination of everything. The Yankees, I think, are probably going to take this. Just from what I've seen so far through 2, but I'm hoping it goes 6 or 7.
I am praying it goes 6 or 7 because I love the Guardians this year. They're such a fun team to watch, and frankly, I want to see the Yankees challenged. I want to see what they do when their backs are against the wall a little bit. They haven't really had an opportunity to see that yet.
It's been really a very easy pass so far for them.
My prediction is that Cleveland's going to win the next 2, and then Game 5 is going to decide who wins the series. That's my prediction.
Because it's 3 in Cleveland, right?
Yeah, 2-3-2.
I do believe that sports fans love to overreact to the beginning of 7-game series. It's like the number one thing that people overreact to.
Especially in baseball.
Yeah, it's because it's every game is so different, and momentum's a thing that's really hard to quantify and figure out.
Yep.
And then you've got the Mets Dodgers, and you've got the Mets. I mean, get walloped in Game 1, and you're thinking, oh boy, here we go. The Mets have finally run into the buzzsaw, and they come back and smack the Dodgers in the mouth in Game 2. I believe that was the Vientos Grand Slam was kind of the big hook, and
from the first at bat is when the Mets took over.
Yeah,
when they were lead off.
which is great. That's so they
Which is also another thing, which is just both MVPs.
Lindor is so much.
I know what Shohei Ohtani is the best player in baseball, but right now, Francisco Lindor is the best player in the world.
He's carrying the Mets.
Francisco Lindor is the best player in the world right now.
What's crazy is I would make the argument that the top 4 players in the entire world are currently playing the playoffs.
Yeah.
Soto,
Ohtani, Judge, Soto, and Lindor.
Yeah.
And then I see I'm very partial to Betts
Sure.
because the way I was raised to be a baseball fan, defense matters a ton.
Then throw bets in there. I'm fine with
And
that.
so Betts, to me, I would say probably because Soto is just such a meh defender. Judge is a really good defender, even for being.
But Soto's the most valuable hitter in baseball. Don't forget that.
He is the most valuable hitter. But I would probably say that Otani's 1. I'm probably saying Judge is 2.
I'm still putting Judge 2. I don't care how.
Lindor's playing like number 3.
Sure.
And then I'd probably put Betts 4.
Now, for me personally, I think Lindor is the best player in the world.
I just
and
love
what he's doing for their team.
I love that Betts can play outfield, and they go, "Hey, can you play infield?" Yeah, and he's been great. He's positive defensive runs saved in the infield. So he's just that versatility cannot really be quantified.
And then of course we're not talking about J-Ram because nobody ever talks about him. But
J-Ram,
he's right
man,
there.
No, Jared's
He's-
awesome.
He's
He's
great.
so good.
another home run yesterday.
We got a 7:00 game today in New York. It's Bueller on the mound and Severino. So we'll
Rare
see. what
Dodgers starting pitcher healthy.
So it's,
Mets have the advantage with the pitching.
it's 1-1 right now. It looks like it's game 4 is going to be Yamamoto and Quintana, and then game 5 on Friday is TBD. Whereas tomorrow, Yankees Guardians, they got game 3. It's going to be Clark Schmidt versus Matthew Boyd. Both guys have been pitching really well.
Yep.
Boyd's kind of the old pro. You know,
Yep.
it's really good in Detroit. You guys saw him a lot, both Central. But that's pretty much the baseball playoffs. We'll be back with, obviously next week will be, actually, this time next week we'll be looking at the World Series.
Yeah.
On Friday, so we will know by this time. So
Even if series go to 7.
here, quick prediction. I am gonna say Mets in 7. Jordan.
World Series, you say?
Yeah, I'm saying Mets. I'm saying Mets in 7, and I'm saying Yankees in 6.
Okay.
Real quick.
I would probably say Dodgers in 7. I think they'll end up winning it, but I think it'll be a close series. And then I gotta go Yankees in 6.
Mets in 6, Yankees in 5.
I think another fun thing I was thinking about this, of like the last 10 years, only one team has won the World Series at home. I don't know why, but I just think it's interesting to bring this up because if you think about it, it was the Astros in 22.
Yeah.
Rangers won it in Arizona. Atlanta wins it in Houston. Dodgers win it in Arlington.
Yeah.
Nationals win it in Houston. Red Sox win it in
That's
LA.
actually so bizarre.
Houston wins it in LA. Cubs win it in Cleveland.
Yep.
2015 was Royals win it in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Giants win it in the Giants win it in Kansas City, and then the next one was 13. The Red Sox won it in Boston, and then if you want to keep going,
Yeah.
The Giants won it in Detroit.
What happened?
And then the Cardinals, 2011, they won at home, and then the Giants win it. It's so weird to think like the last 10 to 15 World Series, only 3 of them have been won at the home team stadium.
Yeah.
It's so
That's
it's so wild. So just a
I'm really
fun-
hoping. One last thing, I'm really hoping for a Subway Series, World Series.
That would be great.
great.
It would be a lot of fun story. Because also Yankees Dodgers, because I think a lot of, I'm not saying you guys, I'm saying but other baseball fans would be educated on the history of those two teams, and it would be a lot of fun.
I also so desperately want to see Shohei win a ring. It's the only person in baseball that I want to see win a ring
All
more
right.
than anyone else.
I hate to do this as quick as we're probably going to have to do this, but now we've got our Week 7 predictions. Me and Chase tied 2-2 on our disagreements.
I'll live with that.
So here we go.
I got insurance for that.
Broncos at Jordan's Saints. I'm picking Broncos.
Ah, man. I was really leaning Broncos before, and I know you guys knew that, but then Surtain is out,
Yeah.
and that's just really the big piece of their defense. I'm just going to
Go with your gut.
I'm going to take this.
If I put it down, I'm in pin here, so.
Give me the Broncos.
Okay.
I'm still going to I'm going to rely on that defense.
Jordan.
Do you want me to talk for a second?
Yeah, you got a couple minutes
All
to do
right.
this. This is your team, so thankfully our team's on bye, so
We cannot lose.
we can enjoy football this week. Hey.
So I want to talk briefly about the Saints. I'm picking the Saints this week. It's not a homer bias thing. I haven't been picking them every week. I think they're just going to win. It'll be close. I wouldn't be surprised if we lost. I want to start out by saying that I think the general public has an awful idea of what the Saints are going through, and they are not paying attention to what's actually happening in the games. They're just looking at scores. and I'm getting very frustrated because I think people are not really paying attention to what's been happening to our team. And
Injuries.
thank you. The number one thing that's been hurting us this year is injuries, and nobody is giving the time of day to the fact that the O-line has been completely decimated since week 2. The moment we won that second game, yay, we beat the Cowboys. Everything has gone downhill.
Yep.
Every single thing that could happen to our team in terms of injuries has just plummeted. So while I don't feel great about our playoff chances anymore, that's fine. I think we're a much better team than people give us credit for. And if we can get healthy in the next week or two, I think we do have a shot for the wild card. Who knows? We don't have the hardest schedule, so that's why I'm not super worried. I really like Rattler. I'm really excited to see him play. It's been really fun to watch him. I was telling Chase earlier, Rattler's not supposed to be the guy. He's just supposed to be a guy that can develop into the guy, right? He's not supposed to be the guy right away. It wasn't his role. He got picked as an insurance for Carr and be able to back him up and learn and hopefully become the guy down the road, right? I'm not expecting Rattler to step in and win us games. I honestly am not at all. What I saw last week, Brady, this is something I think you'll appreciate. So our O-line's so decimated, and one of the things about Derek Carr is that Derek Carr cannot move out of the pocket.
Yeah, he struggles with that.
So the moment our O-line got decimated, we started losing. Well, of course we started losing. Derek Carr can't run out of the pockets. We did no time. What I saw last week out of Rattler was impressive. He was running out of the pocket and making amazing throws. Now, was he perfect? No, not at all. Did he make a great first impression on me, though? Absolutely.
Rattler's biggest problem in college was he had a really rough time seeing secondary defenders.
Yep, I agree completely.
He could see the guy covering his guy, but the safety that was a couple yards away, he couldn't see him, or he just would disregard him. He had a really bad habit of misjudging the non-primary coverage defenders, which is why I think if you ran zone against him, he would have a terrible time trying to figure that out.
So, like, do I think that he's gonna be the guy? I don't know, but I'll tell you, I told Chase
Great arm,
earlier, great arm,
accurate,
and
can throw on the run, can run.
The on the run thing is the
Athletic.
biggest thing. I also will say that, you know what? It just means we might not have to draft a quarterback early next year. That's good. That's all I care about. I just want a guy who we can develop. I want a guy that we can see potential from. So that's my little spiel. I just want people to understand that
Right.
No one really pays attention to the Saints the way that they used to because Brees isn't there anymore, so people don't really watch them.
Or Peyton.
People don't really watch them. I just want people to understand that, like, barring injuries, this team's probably 4-2. We also could have won 2 of the games even with our injuries. We blew the Falcons game, blew the Eagles game. Is what it is.
They're kind of the Aints again. Which kind of sucks.
It is what it is. I'm at a spot where, like, I expect us to go 500 every year. If we can do better than that, I'll be happy.
We got Patriots at Jags in London. Chase?
Yeah, I mean, I actually think Drake May had a very solid debut.
Still the Patriots.
But yeah, at the end of the day, both teams not good.
This is like another. Everyone likes to joke like every year there's like a game that we make our revenge for 1776, and this is like one of our revenge games this year.
That's funny.
But at the end, I'm gonna take the Jaguars.
Yeah, I am too. Jordan,
Patriots. I like May. It's gonna be close though.
we should bring Seth in here for him to talk Drake May with him because Seth hates Drake May.
That's crazy. He's good. I like him.
Texans at Packers. I'm going Pack at home at Lambeau. I just like them more than the Texans this week.
Texans.
Packers.
Hey, we have a disagreement, Chase. I have a chance to catch you. Lions at Vikings. This is game of the week, clearly. You got the Lions, coming off a blood, whatever you want to call it. They killed us. Yeah. A massacre is what I was looking for. A massacre of the Dallas Cowboys. I can't use the words that I think me, you, and Seth were using in our group chat. Jordan, I can tell you afterwards. They were a little bit stronger than massacre. And then the Vikings, coming off a bye week, 5-0. I trust Goff more than I trust Darnold.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Brian Flores figures out a way to stop that Ben Johnson offense.
Yeah, listen, Vikings, good team. They're due for a loss, though. Give me the Lions.
I'm going Lions. I do think it'll be really close. The Vikings can win this game, though.
Seahawks at Falcons. I'm taking Atlanta at home.
I'm with you.
I just think they're going to dice up the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks have a great team. I've been saying that all year. I think it's another game where they're just not going to have enough to win.
38-35 Atlanta.
So you're taking Atlanta?
I'm Falcons. Yeah.
Okay. Titans at Bills. Titans have had some problems this year. Give me the Bills.
Bills.
Oh, and I want to give a public thank you to Ray Davis. I benched. I was down, I think, like 85-71, and his name was Reed. He was in our fantasy league. We're all 3 in a fantasy league. And Reed he was up 14 points, and he had Khalil Shakur going, and I had Cook. Well, Cook's hurt. And I'm looking at Ty Johnson or Davis. I'm like, well, Davis fits more of their style, but I just like Davis from this year's draft.
Sure.
I was a huge. You want one of the best running back takes I've ever seen? Go watch his 2023 Florida game.
Sure.
It is one of the. It is you are just whoa. And I'm like, okay, I'll pick Davis up. And I win. I win my week. I have the comeback of the century. It was absolutely fantastic.
Brady made the right decision.
God bless him.
It was absolutely fantastic. It restored my confidence in my football IQ. So this week I'm taking. So I just want to say thank you to Ray Davis. But I'm taking Bills. Bills, I assume. Bills.
Bills.
Bengals at Browns.
Bengals.
Oh, the Browns. It could be worse. We could have paid Deshaun Watson. It could be worse. We could, but I don't know if it is. Give me the Bengals.
Bengals.
Cincy.
Oh, Chase, you picked the Browns. What are you doing? No, I heard Browns, right? He said Cleveland. Yeah.
Totally.
Go ahead and mark it on my thing here.
I think we're gonna have a couple of disagreements here.
Dolphins at Colts. Give me the Colts. Even with Richardson coming back, and if they have Flacco has to come in, give me the Colts.
I'm still Colts until
Colts, and they look better with Flacco than Richardson. I want to say that.
Easily.
Eagles at Giants.
Eagles.
Chase.
Eagles.
No, all right.
It's too much talent.
Giants are just kind of
Yeah.
Raiders at Rams.
Rams.
Yeah, I have to agree with there. Panthers at Commanders.
Commanders.
Give me Jane Daniels.
Commanders.
Huge. Daniels was my number 2 player in the draft behind Harrison. I had him above Caleb. Chiefs at Niners. This could be the disagreement here.
I mean, if you want to take whatever, I'll go.
I mean, I'm going the home team. I'm going San Fran.
Okay.
I think the same reason you said the Vikings. I think the Chiefs are due. I know they're coming off a bye. Aren't the Niners coming off a bye too?
No.
Who'd they play last week?
They played Thursday.
They won last week.
Versus Seattle.
That's right. They played Seattle. They got like an extended week.
Before I give my answer, let me do some quick research.
Give me the Niners. Jordan,
quick.
you can go. Oh, Jordan's. Hold on. Sorry about that.
Real quickly.
Allergies are a killer.
Let me just do. Okay.
Jordan, why don't you go ahead?
I'm going Chiefs. I mean, honestly, I'm torn on this one. I'm going Chiefs ultimately because
It's tough. It's a good matchup.
Ultimately, I'm going Chiefs because I have been astounded by the way that they've adapted to all their injuries. Astounded.
Whoa. You mean, Jordan, you mean to tell me that if you have a great head coach and a great staff, you mean to tell me that you can adjust to injuries?
They have an organization.
No, absolutely not. Because the Cowboys can't. No, clearly, Jordan, you're wrong. No, it must be something else.
They have an
Because
organization
teams can't do that. It's illegal.
Full of winning.
I'm taking the Niners. I just had to quickly
Gosh dang you. You can't disagree with me.
Quickly research to see if my determining factor was if Jordan Mason was going to be playing or not. And he is limited in practice, so I assume he's going to play, which is the reason why I'm going Niners.
Jets at Steelers.
Jets.
I got to take the Jets. I got to take the Jets here.
It sounds like Devontae's going to play.
They just
why I'm
added-
taking him.
they-
He's not hurt, by the way.
He's not hurt.
No, he's not hurt, but I think it's also one of those. I don't know the offense. Rodgers just goes, I don't care, just run a route. Run a route. Ravens at Bucks. This is a good game.
Ravens.
It is a good game, but give me the Ravens.
Yeah.
And then Chargers at Cardinals.
What'd you choose?
Oh, I took Ravens.
Chargers at Cardinals.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Chargers.
Cardinals have been really up and down. Same with the Chargers. Both teams have been super, super up and down.
This is just for me. It's like if Marvin Harrison Jr. plays, I'm going to take the Cardinals. If he doesn't play, I'm taking the Chargers. Can I go with that?
Yeah. Here I put a.
If Marvin Harrison Jr. plays, give me the Cardinals. If Marvin Harrison Jr. does not play, give me the Chargers.
Yeah. You can.
That is what we do that on here. Where if you do say
that's fine.
If Marv plays, Cardinals.
In my pick, we do it up to game lock, so like I could change it.
Yeah. If Marv plays, Cardinals.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Cardinals regardless.
Okay.
So yeah, there's our. I'll put a little asterisk, but it may not matter. Those are our game picks. Hope you guys enjoyed the rants that we had on Jerry. Both Jerry's actually. Yeah, this was definitely a bit of a weirder episode, but weirder stories call for weirder podcast episodes. Again, to everyone, I'm sorry I missed last week. Apparently, YouTube doesn't like to upload it sometimes. This is twice it's happened this semester where it hasn't uploaded, so I'm going to make sure it gets uploaded.
Yep.
If the episode does not upload, which you won't be hearing this, so it doesn't matter if I say it, but I'm still going to say it, it is on Spotify. It is on Amazon Music, and it is on Apple Music. Much as I hate Apple, everybody has it, so I have to, put it on there. I hate it. I don't like Apple Music. I don't like Apple. This is very well known about me. Screw Apple.
Coke.
I would, I hope Jerry goes and buys Apple. There you go. Now they can deal with him.
You know what? If Jerry buys Apple, I'll be getting a Samsung.
I'll be getting a Samsung. Well, that's going to do it for us. We will see you guys next week.
Peace.